Okay, so for this first assignment, we're going to be using the shutter speed, okay? And we're going to use it in a very unique way. You're going to need a few things. You're going to need one of these things, okay? Boom, boom. Easy. They come in variations with different lanyards. So these things will trigger the camera. Okay. Now you're going to need a camera. Now there is one camera you should not use for this assignment. It's the 7500. The 7500 has a very just fussy IR sensor. Okay. So these run off infrared light. Okay. And the infrared on a 7500 is amazingly bad. Okay. I would not pick a 7500 for this assignment. Good camera though. Good camera, just not if you're ever going to use a remote IR sensor. Trust me when I say it has to be at a very unique angle in order for it to work. And I don't know what they did to it, but I have 4 7500s. They all function the same way, and they all suck at infrared light. So, sorry, Nikon. Sorry. Maybe it's just the one camera. No, it's all of them. All of them. All right, so now we got the choice between the 71 and the 72. They both work fine for this assignment, okay? What I would do, though, is pick one that has a lens that has an 18 to 200 millimeter lens on it. 18 to 200 millimeter. Because this struggles with light, okay? So we're going to use that to our advantage and come up with some very unique things with light. So I'm going to put my other one down here. And I don't know what I ended up with. Oh, the 7100. So, okay, to get started, you can only do this if you have a non-convex lens. Okay, so we go in and you make sure of all the settings that you had before. Again, reset everything. Reset. Reset. It's a good practice to get into resetting your camera in a lab. All right, so next you're going to go to quality and rotate the dial until you either see it change here or change on the back. So we want fine. I'm going to take it off live view. You should know how to do that. There we go. So you see that with live view off on this camera, when I make that change, it works. Okay, that's just one of the differences of this camera compared to the 7200. Live view can't be on. Okay, next, we want to go to menu, and we want to go to the camera, little camera icon right there, and we want to say remote control on. Quick response remote. Okay. All right, the next thing we want to go to the wrench, and we want to put this with the longest time. Pencil. We want to go to timers, and we want to say remote on duration, and make sure this is set to 15 minutes. Usually they are set to 15 minutes, but just in case, there it is. Okay. So now, some changes here. So we want manual mode. Manual mode. Okay. So this one right here is your shutter speed. Okay, this one's your aperture. So what I want to do is lower my shutter speed all the way down. Keep going down, down. Whoops, the other way. The other way. And you see where it comes to these two dots right here. Okay. We want the two dots. So I can go -1, negative times 125, or I want these two dots. I want the two dots. Okay, so what's it going to do? Well, here's the IR sensor right here. So when I click this button, oh, and put it in manual right there, okay, just for the time being. So when I click this button, it should open the shutter. Okay? You see it's not working. Why? The battery's dead. Yeah, the battery's dead. Okay? See? Works. So don't give up. Just know that these things take batteries. So right now the shutter speed or shutter is open. Okay? Until I click this again, now the shutter is closed. Okay? Again, if you click on it, shutter is open. It makes a very unique sound. Okay? Now listen to it, shutter closed. Each has its own unique sound. So memorize that sound. Shutter open, shutter closed. Okay, cool. So what's it doing here? Well, shutter open, shutter closed. Don't forget, it's on a table. That's fun though. So can I tip this? Yeah, I'll tip it just a little bit. So shutter open, shutter closed. See how bright it is. This time I'll do it a little bit, not so bright. Okay, so that means I have control over only one thing in this camera, and that is shutter. Okay, I only have access to shutter. That's the only thing I'm worried about. So I would just max out aperture. So aperture is right here. See that? It's on this front dial. So you're going to max out aperture, and you're going to low ISO. And we'll get into what all those are later. So ISO, lower that. You just hold the button, and then you go like this. So with this maxed out, the aperture is maxed out, the ISO is turned all the way down. The only thing that, as a student, you have to worry about is your shutter speed. Okay? And your shutter speed is dictated by you pressing this button, open, close. It's not a bad shot, right? Okay, cool. So now we're going to use this to our advantage and make some very interesting things, like what can we do with light? So let me get into that and figure out how I'm going to shoot that as a demonstration. All right, so for the first part of this assignment, you're going to need some junk. Okay, over here I have some junk. We got a whole bunch of junk. So it's all right. I would pick different things. It could be glass, metal, wood, don't care. You're going to be using light in a very particular way. So on your phone, now we have flashlights too. So if you want a flashlight, that's fine. But if you're kind of fussy, you can use your phone. And it does have a flashlight, right? See, flashlight on, boom. Got a really cool light. Notice the starburst. Ooh. Okay, so we can use this light in a very particular way using a camera. So now you have two things that you're in charge of. You're in charge of the shutter speed, and you're in charge of this light. Okay. Now, let me put back the camera. And let me... Okay, in the last video, I showed you how to what? Change the autofocus. Okay? Did I? I don't remember actually. So I'm going to make sure that I do that. So I'm going to show you how to autofocus this camera. Okay, again, on the side here, it's got MA and AF. So just know where those are at. You're going to be using them a lot. Okay? Particularly this one right here. This one you can leave alone. This one you're going to definitely use. Okay, so let's spin that around and hit live view. Now you're in charge of the composition work too. So this is not, like, I'm just going to show you technically how this works, but I want you guys to experimenting with, or do some experimenting with, like framing things, for example. All right, you also, in the last video, you know about SD cards and how they work. So, don't really have to go over that, but just in case you needed it. Okay, let's click on live view. All right, test your connection. So I should be able to hit, this is an infrared sensor right here on the camera. So you can point it on the back side of it too. Shutter open. Shutter close. Okay, good. Nice, right? Shutter open, shutter close. Do you ever touch the camera in this? No. You are only to use this mechanism. Don't ever touch the camera because it'll blur the shot. Okay? Because when the shutter is open, it's anything that bumps the camera will cause blurriness in the shot. So that's why you have this. Cool. So now all you do with the lights on, you can touch the camera for one thing, and that's lightly touching the shutter button. See the green square? That means that's in focus now. So what you want to do is turn it or click the shutter, just lightly hit the shutter button, wait for the green square to appear. When you let off, it's going to be red again. Okay, then turn the autofocus off. What this will allow it to do is not autofocus every time, because a camera will try to autofocus in the dark. Shutter open. Shutter close. Again, autofocus on. Focus it using the button. Turn it off. So if you ever were to move the composition in any way, or the camera in any way, you have to repeat those steps every time with the lights on. Okay, cool. All right, let's turn the lights off. So let me get this place a little dark now that you know what I'm doing, and then I'll show you what the game plan is. All right, so it's completely dark in this room, and I still have control over the shutter button. Shutter button on, shutter is open, shutter is closed. Okay, nothing appears in there. Why? Well, there's not enough light in the room in order to expose the shot. Okay, but if I left it open long enough, keep it open, keep it open, And let's try it. So let's close it. Nothing still. Okay. Why is that? Well, the aperture is cranked. So that means there's a small little hole in that lens that's allowing light to happen. So we do have our cell phone, right? Cell phone, right? Okay, so shutter open. And suddenly I can expose the shot with my flashlight. Okay. Now, what if I hold it still? Better. Better. Now, what's kind of cool is, let's say I have shutter open, and I pass the light in front of the lens. Look at that. Again, shutter open. I'll pass it a couple times. And there we go. That's the light. So I can draw with the light. All right. So you have a flashlight, you have the ability to draw with light, and you have a composition. So that is the assignment, is to pick a composition, okay? Find a flashlight, find a dark room, and then play with the fact that I can open this, I can light the composition in some way, or I can draw with light around the composition, and then close up and see what you got. So I'll try just a couple bit, but I'm kind of tethered right now to the Mansplainer 4000. There we go. Right? Pretty cool. Now you're seeing it through a camera lens. Not really all that focused. So you're looking at it through a video camera, through a regular camera. All right. So what I'm going to do is pop these shots into a program, and we'll take a look at them. All right, let's take a look at these. So just by passing over the light, you can see that I have kind of like a definition of these shapes just once, like real quick. Definition of the shape. Got some really cool little like refraction going because of these this clear object, and it's really dark on this side. So one of the things is for this assignment is everything needs to be there in the photo, and I need to understand what it is, sort of. Okay, so this is kind of an art piece. There's no doubt about it. But I want you to really try. I have students that are just like, yep, wave the thing, walk out. Okay, so you have to kind of make it into an art piece. And, you know, like I don't want to do too much subjectivity on it, but I do want you to be creative and not rush it. So here is another one. You can see that by waving around, I got some of the things in the shot. So what would help this shot? One, I could have actually aimed the camera at the objects and probably put them somewhere in the frame. Okay, that's called composition. So if I would have made it so that the composition was a little bit better, it would probably turn out to be a pretty good shot. So you're in charge of the third element. Okay, 1, the shutter speed, 2, the light source, and 3, the composition. So by framing it better, you'll get a better shot. So, all right, so for every student, and I'll put this in the assignment, to how many that you have to have. And I guarantee you it's going to be more than what you want. So we have lots of junk, and you're going to have to come up with like so many shots of different compositions. Not the same composition. We're talking about different junk being lit up, not different junk with different lights flying around it. Different junk every time. All right. You're going to frame it. You're going to light it up, and then you're going to make sure that it's got the right shutter speed, because you're in charge of the shutter speed. All right, so that's the assignment, and just check that out to see how many that you need per student. Don't forget, you need a dark room for this to happen too. All right, have a good one.